we are going to start off with our very own Officer Martin.
Good morning, all. Like I said, I'm Officer Martin. I work with the Second Precinct. I've been there for about 10 years, and I've been a youth officer for about 6 years. My day-to-day function is being a youth officer. What we normally do is we handle anything that's school related, anything that's youth related. So anything going on in school. So if the staff call, if anybody's a crisis, or if there's a crime being committed in the school, myself and my two other partners will respond. I deal with mainly kids ranging from their age up until 17 years old. I arrest kids that are the ages of 12 to 17 that commit arrestable offense, which is assault. It can be anything from grand larceny, it can be anything from robbery, well, I don't deal with murder, that's the detective squad. I'm not there yet. But I have been able to ID certain, when I say ID, I mean identify certain kids who commit heinous crimes, such as shootings, such as stabbings, robberies. I'm able to identify these kids because I work closely with kids, daily, every day, all day. I'm normally around the high schools because those areas are the most problematic. A lot of fights. I don't know what's going on in this generation, but everybody feels like they can just put their hands on each other. Like I said, the starting age to be arrested is 12 years old. I don't know if you guys are 12 yet, but I'm letting you guys know now. If you put your hands on somebody and somebody gets injured, that is an assault. You guys understand that? Does anybody know what an injury is? Exactly. So you said break something. So we're gonna go. You said break something, right? So if you hit him and he sustained a black eye, that's an injury to the eye, right? Now if you hit him and the fight continues and you break his arm, it goes from a black eye, which is a misdemeanor, and now he has a broken arm and goes to a felony. So a misdemeanor and the felony is the worst. Because the felony, you can do actual jail time to up to a year. So, with that being said, I know you guys stay horsing around, pushing and tugging and pushing and hitting. Keep your hands to yourself. It can turn from being a playful matter to a serious matter. Now you can be in jail. Is there anything you want me to talk about? Is there anything that's going on within the school that's a little concerning?
We have students that like to engage on online group chats and put some materials out there that leaves of fingerprints. Like, videos and pictures and
First of all, when I was a kid, I didn't have a phone. And I'm always sure everybody ever did not have a phone back then. And that can be considered if you are sharing photos of an individual that's explicit or as a form of bullying, that's also an arrestable offense. Aggravated harassment. If you go, I don't want to keep coming at you. If you write in the group chat, oh, I don't like Chantel's hair, I'm gonna go pull it tomorrow, right? And Chantel sees this and she feels threatened by it. Chantel's parent comes to the precinct and file a report, and that's aggravated harassment. Just because you place that young lady in fear. That's an arrestable offense.
So because Officer Jones Martin has to leave, we have 2 questions, or we're only taking 2 questions.
See, it depends. It depends on the offense, and it depends on.
What was the question?
He said, what do we do with a kid that's younger than 12 years old? I'll tell you what I normally do, me and my coworkers normally do. We normally try to figure out why that young kid is acting out. So we normally go and do a home visit to see what the home is like. We speak to the parent. We normally try to offer services, whether therapy or anything that they may need. But it also depends on the offense. Now, for an 11-year-old that commit murder, it's above my pay grade. I don't get paid that much. That's left to the detectives to investigate, and that's left to the judge to make a decision on what they want to handle, how they want to handle it. But it's spoken. We use our words before we want to escalate and go side to know. We don't need just, it's better to talk to calm somebody down than to get actually physical stuff. And then if it's 11 years old, I never want to get physical with 11 years old. It's not what I'm here to do.
One more?
Court officer? Yeah, the court officer, they're officers, but their job is to be with the court system, with the judge. They still arrest people as well. They do the same exact thing. But you know what they do? They do the same thing. Back here.
What would happen if the prisoner escaped from jail? What happened if the prisoner escaped?
Prisoner escape?
Yeah, like,
Oh, there'll be a lot of reasons out there going to find him. When they find him, they'll be bad. All right, one more. Oh, one more for the future cop.
So if you serve some food and some stuff from the store, you're gonna go to jail.
That's who are.
All right, we're going to give a round of applause for Officer Jones Martin. That's the nice one. Next up, we have Mr. Webb.
Hey, good morning, boys and girls. How are we doing today? All right. But just like many of you, I grew up not too far from here. As a kid, I used to live in 215 Cozine Avenue, right up the road. So I'm here this morning just to tell you a little bit about what's happening since I've been in Cozine Avenue and how I've been able to move along and what I do for a living. So currently, I'm what they call a chief operating officer of a finance company. So we finance government bonds, maybe like $65 billion a day, and we run trading technologies where we move for our customers maybe $2 trillion a day. So I get to be in charge of all the people doing the operation. I get to be in charge of the programmers who program the trading system and make sure we're secure from cyber threats and other things. I got a question here. You get your question in the end. So, like I said, I started on Wall Street, which unfortunately a lot of us as young kids, we don't get introduced to Wall Street, right? We see doctors, we go to the hospital, we go to our doctor's visit, we see nurses, we see police officers patrolling and other activity around us. but we tend not to see a lot of things around finance and this concept of whatever is happening on Wall Street. So I like to tell kids, you can't be afraid to explore. We can't limit ourselves just because of where we are and what we may not see because it's not in our neighborhood. Like I go to neighborhood, the other day I was at a conference in Marco Island in Florida. And as you drive through the neighborhood, there was a Morgan Stanley, a Goldman Sachs, a Citibank, a JP Morgan Chase, and they just have all these finance companies just there like little offices. So if I lived in that neighborhood, I would have access to those. I typically, when I grew up at 215 Cozine, there's no Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Solomon Brothers around here, right? So we don't get to see them. I was lucky enough to get a job at a trading floor at 17 years old. So I never even went to college. I went right out of high school. I went to Abraham Lincoln High School, took my last English class at Erasmus High School at that, so I could get out of high school early, just so I could work. And why does anybody want to work? Not because it's so much fun, because we like money. So I like money, so I was a co-op student in high school where I worked one week and went to school the other week. And I continued to work from a young guy on a trading floor. And time progressed, I moved on, and we had a big merger of these Citibank companies, and you hear about Solomon and Travelers Insurance. And we went off and started our own investment firm. We took a couple $1 million from an investor and started our own company that we've been running now for 25 years. So again, finance, a lot of people, if you say, who wants to be in finance? Normally you don't get too many hands, right? Who wants to be in finance here? Not too many hands, right? Now, who wants to have a nice house and drive Porsches and Lexus? Well, I can tell you, if you want those things and you want to go on vacation, I've been to the Galapagos Island twice. I traveled all over, not because I'm smart, because I got lucky. I got lucky to get a position in a place where you're able to make the economics to make those things happen. Now, finance, it's not the most important work to be doing, right? Doctors, lawyers, police officers, all of those things are a lot more important, right? But if you do, like, want to have nice things too, don't be afraid of going into something different, such as finance, or even technology. Learn how to be a programmer. That's all important, and it's all very rewarding. And the good thing about going into these type of business where you get to make a lot of money, you get to help. You learn how to give back. Not just to give back to your family or help your family, but you try to give back to the community. So I spend my time supporting different benefits that one of them take kids from 8 years old to 18, and they work with them in a 10-year program and help them to get into college. And I try to do what I can to get them exposed to finance. Like have them in our offices. I use our board of directors, some of them on the board of like the Barclays Center, and they take these kids and they give them jobs in the Barclays Center and just help them to be exposed to things they normally wouldn't see. So again, finance, if you think about it, if you get an opportunity, you ask at home, Mom, Dad, how do you do your finances? We all have finances in our everyday life. They have to manage their budget, their bills, and the money coming in to pay those. And it's important that you learn about finance, because you yourself are going to get to a point where you have to manage your own money. How much money are you spending buying things on Amazon or buying time on your video game? Right? This is where you spend your money. You spend your money buying things on video games because you like it and it's important to you. I have 3 boys. You wouldn't imagine how much money they spend. And when you look at their credit card, even if they're growing up and getting older, I just see the same purchase all the time. Like all day long they would buy these things because they're playing video games with their cousins and their friends, even as, now they're in their 20s. So again, don't be afraid, don't limit yourself. Think about finance. When you have the time, look up, and when you're on the internet, just type in the word, if I want to be a finance, and I want to get into finance, what does that mean? What do I have to do? It is a pretty rewarding job, and like I said, you get to a point where you're able to help out other people. All right? Anybody wants to be in finance now? All right, we picked up a couple. All right. I'm not doing a very good job, obviously. Any questions? What's that? For scamming? Where I work, we're regulated, right? So we're regulated by the Federal Reserve Bank on some side, the SEC. So we get audited by our auditors like PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then we also have the regulators coming like every 18 months. So as one regulator or auditor leave, another one comes in. And you have to explain to them, you know, how did you make the money you make? And they go through your books, and you have to audit your financials. So we're pretty regulated. So, you know, even trading, when I go to book a trade for myself, I have to get it pre-cleared. I can't just go and buy Amazon stock. I have to put it in the system and tell a company, I'm about to purchase Amazon stock. And it has to be approved and current. So we have our restriction or our guardrails that they keep us within to make sure we're not doing it anymore. It's over $1 million. So there's a lot of money. Again, making money is good, but you want to enjoy what you do as well. I enjoy what I do. So when I get to work, I don't look at my watch and wait for 5 o'clock to come. That's not my, you know, I'm pretty good with where I'm at. I enjoy what I do for a living. I've done it a long time. What's that?
You have to go to college to do it.
You know, typically you would. I got into it in January of 1986 and I was only 17, so I never went to college. But typically when I go to interview people now, I explain to them, listen, I was able to do it without college. If you're willing to come in here and put your head down and learn, there's nothing I can teach you and nothing you can do here. So there's a couple of folks that's still able to get into those type of jobs without the college education, and it's typically when you know someone. So typically you do have to go to college. One of the things they look for, they'll ask you to have college unless you've been working somewhere else where you got experience. You could also have experience in finance that you could pass along and get a job without the college. When you're in college? When you're retired? Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the whole idea. You work and actually you save money. You want to work, you want to save X amount of your money. And then also, if there's Social Security around, you collect that too. If you're 70 years old by the time I get to that point. But thank you guys for listening, and enjoy the weekend, right?
Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Okay, so I'm a Local 3 electrician apprentice. And what is Local 3? Local 3 is the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, often called Local 3 in New York City, and it represents electricians and other electrical industry workers in the New York City area. It's known for its apprenticeship program, where apprentices, which are students, we earn pay while we're learning the electrical trade through classroom instruction and on-the-job training. An electrician apprentice is someone who is learning the electrical trade through a combination of classroom instruction and paid hands-on work under licensed electricians. So I go to school twice a week. I go to SUNY Empire, and the Local 3 pays for it. And I received my Bachelor's of Arts in Labor Studies. And on Thursdays, I go to Electrical Theory School. Okay, so I started out in trade school, which you don't need to go to college in order to be an electrician. I started out in trade school called Non-Traditional Employment for Women. And it was a 7-week online program during COVID. And then we had 2 weeks of boot camp where we had to lift buckets and lift heavy equipment to see if we were physically active for the job. You take a TABE test, which is a reading test, and math test, which is regular elementary school level exam to get into the trade school. And once you're in, you take an aptitude test to become a Local 3 electrician. But in trade school, we had classes like carpentry, electrical theory, and things of that nature to see what trade you want to be in. And there's like hundreds of trades that you could do in. They have painters, plumbers, electricians, different things of that nature. One thing I was going to mention is that when you start out, you get paid $18.50 an hour as an electrician apprentice, and it goes up each year. And once you finish your 5 years, you get $62 an hour right now, but it goes up even more as the years go by. Some of the benefits of Local 3 is brotherhood and sisterhood. We have a lot of clubs and organizations where we all come together. We have job security, where you always have a job. We have annuity, which is a fund where you invest money and you save for when you retire. We have 401k, which is another investment, and they match your 401k. So if you take a percentage of your check that you receive and put it into a fund, they match it and they put the same amount of money that you put. So for example, I save 8% of my check each week, and they match it and put 8% of that same amount of money back into my check. So I have money for when I retire. And most electricians retire at 20 years. Also, free education, as I mentioned. They pay for you to go to school, and they pay for your spouse to go to school as well. So if you're married, they pay for you both to go to school. And once you graduate from SUNY Empire, they pay for you to go to school for anything you want. It doesn't have to be electrical related. It could be a different field or study that you could study. And during the workday, I wear these suspenders for high vis so that people can see me from far away. And I wear a hard hat, which I don't have with me right now, for safety and protection. I wear safety glasses and work boots. I usually wear jeans and a t-shirt. This is my Local 3 t-shirt, this is my logo. A typical day for me is like, I usually put in 100 outlets, what we call receptacles. I wire outlets, I put up lights like the ones you see here. And we help wire in New York City so that you guys can see. And what else? Anybody has any questions? Yes, in the back.
If you graduate, if you take a reading and math test and if you get an A+, that means you graduate and you get your trade from your bus or car or anything.
And once you pass your math test and your reading test, you get into trade school. And trade school allows you to pick what trade you want to go into, which could be an electrician or plumber or anything of that nature. I hope that answers your question.
I never got shocked by a wire.
I actually got shocked yesterday. We don't work live, and when I say live, that means that the electricity is on. We usually turn off the breakers, and you have to use a tester every day before you work on anything to make sure that it's not live. And I tested it, and it said that it was not live, but unfortunately it was, so I got shocked. I got a little tingling sensation, and I saw a lot of sparks flying, but nothing happened, and thank God that I was safe. They went and turned off the breaker. So even though you test it, it's important to check to make sure that it's really off. Yes, question? Wait. Yes, you do have to focus in school. That's a very good point. I have one last question. Oh, I don't know. They put their arm at the same time.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. A female in the back.
Wow.
Why do you need to skip?
Huh?
Why do you have to make sure that it's not live?
Make sure that it's not live so that you don't get shocked and electrocuted. Safety first. We always say safety first. That's the most important. So that was a mistake on my part that I didn't double check to make sure that the wires weren't live. All right, one last question. I'm not sure, that's a great question, but the TAFE test is elementary school-based math and elementary school-based reading comprehension. That's just the way that the exam is made up. I'm not sure. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here, and I hope that you consider joining the trades.
All right, next up.
Good morning, boys and girls. I like to be a little interactive, so I want to be on the floor with you guys. I don't want to stand above you.
Also, sixth grade scholars that are performing the show tonight, please see Mr. Nino. Thank you.
All right, my name is Edward Stallone. All right, and yes, that's what you tell them. My parents love me, that's why. So, I am a medical radiographer, or you can call it an x-ray tech. So what I do for a living is I take pictures, all right, and everybody knows what pictures are, right? All right, but I don't take pictures with a regular camera like we see what we have in the room with your phone and everything else. I take pictures with x-ray equipment. And what we look at are bones in the human body. All right? So who here has ever broken a bone? Have you ever seen those pictures of broken bones before? Are those pictures the same as regular photographs? They're not. What color are they usually? Say it again? They're usually black.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
They're usually black and white. All right? And the reason why is because X-ray equipment allows us to see what's inside your body without actually going in and opening your body up, which is a good thing, right? I've been an X-ray tech for the past 18 years, but currently right now, I work in the cardiac cath lab, all right? And that is a little bit more specialized. And in the cardiac cath lab, what we do is we deal with one specific organ, all right? And this is the middle of your chest. What's the organ in the middle of your chest? Say it again. All right, your heart. Does anybody know what the heart is responsible for?
It's responsible for breathing.
It helps indirectly, but it's responsible for something else.
So the blood can be intact.
It helps with the blood not to be intact. It helps with the blood to flow and pump. Right? If you put your hand on your chest, you're going to feel a beat, right? And the heart has electricity that runs through it that allows it to squeeze to allow the blood to flow inside the body, all right? The heart is a very important organ, and the doctors that I work with are referred to as cardiologists. And the reason why we deal with, the reason why the heart is very important is because if the heart starts beating, the blood starts flowing. And when the blood stops flowing, it becomes a big problem. Because the heart is responsible for it, there are arteries on the outside of the heart that feed the heart muscle with blood. And the blood carries oxygen and nutrients to feed the muscle. When those arteries, those coronary arteries get blocked up and close off, the heart can't pump the blood the way it's supposed to. So the doctors that I work with, they go inside the body through the wrist or through the groin so they can open up those flows, open up the arteries so that blood can flow and the heart can pump and do what it needs to do. All right? I've been an X-ray tech for about 18 years. I've worked in the cardiac cath lab for about 4.5 years right now. I love what I do. I enjoy working with the doctors that I work with. I also love the equipment and the technologies that I work with as well, because there are a lot of different things that are constantly changing in healthcare and new equipment that we use. So I want to share something with you guys, right? As you guys continue to move through your academic careers, you have to learn that you will always be students in life, and you have to have a teachable spirit. So even though you're in elementary school right now, you have to love to learn so that you can grow. And the reason why that's important is because as you grow, things change and you're going to learn new things. You may not learn them inside the classroom, but even in whatever profession you choose, you're going to continue to grow, you're going to continue to learn, and you're going to continue to learn new things. So don't ever stop learning. Your love for learning should always be something that you hold on to. All right? It takes about 4 years to become an X-ray tech. There's 2 years of prerequisites, and the program itself is 2 years inside where we're learning about the technologies that we use, how to use it, and how to protect patients also from any unnecessary radiation. All right? Does anybody have any questions? My police officer in the back.
Every
Say that the bones are the same every single day?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we all have about a fully developed person has about 206 bones inside their body. All right, 206. All right, one more question, guys.
When your arteries get.
So in the heart, it's called ischemia. Right. So usually, the best way I can describe it is like this. Who here takes a school bus to school? All right. When the school bus stops in the middle of the street, what happens to the cars behind them? Can the cars proceed? So the same way that the street is blocked off by the school bus, there's plaque that can build up inside the coronary arteries that stop blood from flowing and moving the way it's supposed to. So usually the reason why the coronary arteries get backed up is because of diet, high cholesterol, and if you're constantly eating food that doesn't allow the body to eliminate certain things. I hope that makes some sense. But when the blood doesn't flow the way it's supposed to, it stops. The same way that if a school bus stops in the middle of the street and doesn't allow cars to flow through, that's what happens inside of the coronary arteries. All right, I hope that it was help. All right, and thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Donna Boyer, but I go by Dr. Lolia. And I'm here today to talk to you about a career in medicine and what it takes to be a doctor. I always start by, of course, saying that I went to school just like this. I went to school in Bedford-Stuyvesant, 308, not too far from here. We went to school together, the same school. And one of the things that stuck with me at that school, and I always say, the statement that knowledge is power. And I say that because that resonated so much to me, that knowledge is power. No one can take away your knowledge. No one can take away your power. When you gain that knowledge, that becomes your power. And you can use that to become anything that you want in this world. So always know that you have within yourself the ability to do what you want to do and to achieve anything that you want. So grew up in Brooklyn, went to high school in Brooklyn as well, went to Lafayette High School. And at that high school, I was kind of like in a trade program where we went to school, but then we got to decide whether or not we wanted to go into like a hands-on skill, like electrical engineering, or you can choose a career like nursing and healthcare. And I liked the healthcare idea because it allowed me to leave the school and I got to go to the hospital and work. And worked in lots of different areas, and one of the things that interests me was babies. And I love to see babies delivered, and I love the excitement around it. And I spent my career trying to get to that point where I can deliver babies. And I say it took about 4 years of undergraduate school where you went to school and kind of like learned the basics, and then you went to medical school where you spent about 4 years focusing on the body, learning all the different organs in the body and how to treat the body. And then you spent about 4 years in residency where you kind of lived in the hospital, kind of worked with doctors, kind of learned that craft, build up your knowledge, and then use that information to work in your field. And one of the key points I always want to make in medicine and any career is that you're not always going to, or you don't always have to be successful in that career. What do I mean? Sometimes you may take a test and you may fail it, right? Or have any of you guys ever experienced studying for a test and not doing as well as you wanted to on it? Yeah. Or have you ever experienced, thinking that you aced something and only to get there and realize that you didn't do as well as you want to on it? Yeah, I was gonna say that's okay. You do not always have to be 100% successful. What you need to do is be, you have to try, right? You have to try again. You have to, don't give up. And so sometimes that is what creates your power, your tenacity, your ability to fight through something just, even if it's not always successful. So I would say one of the things that, you want to focus on at this stage is, learning, making sure that you try as hard as you can, but also knowing that even if you're not as successful at something, you can definitely try and you can do it again. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, how about you? Yeah. What tools and technologies that you use? Funny you should ask, because I have a problem that someone helped me with today. This is a stethoscope. This stethoscope allows me to listen to your heart. I can hear the different sounds in your heart. The different sounds in your heart can tell me if there's something wrong with it. I can listen to your lungs. I can listen to you breathe in and out. And if there's a different sound that I'm not used to hearing, that can tell me, if there's something wrong. There's a tool that looks something like this and a little different, but if there's a mom, I can put it on their stomach and listen to the baby. I can listen to the heartbeat of the baby. So this is a tool that we use, and there's many different tools that you use. But the biggest thing is knowing, learning, spending that time learning what the different sounds and things are, so that the tools are helpful. Okay. All right, is there another question? I see a yellow sweater back there. That's funny you should ask, because yeah, so there are different types of blood pressure machines, and so that's an idea of what a blood pressure machine is. And if we had more time, we would show you, but however, we put that on your arm, and it allows us to measure the pressure within your arm, and it'll give us a reading. Do you know how to? Yes, absolutely. So you're going to use the stethoscope, right? Because remember, you've gathered all these tools. You've gathered all these tools, and you're learning from books. You've gathered all these tools from school. You've gathered all these tools from residency. And you can take the stethoscope and listen. And then there's a tool called the sphygmomanometer. I always say it wrong. The sphygmomanometer. You put it on your arm, and it increases the pressure. So I'm going to use my stethoscope and listen with my ears as I increase the pressure. And as I let it go, as fast as it comes out, it tells me how the blood pressure is, or what the blood pressure reading is. You right there in the gray. Say it again. If it gets switched. Interesting. So if sometimes babies are supposed to come out in one direction, and we get so used to them coming out in one direction. However, and that can be a delivery that we have in an open room with family. However, if they come out in a different direction, we've got to do a different procedure called a cesarean section. So we take them to the operating room, and then we can take the baby out in a different way. We go in through the skin and through the muscles, and we can take the baby out that way. And then there's one more question I'll take right here, the white sweater. Yes, why do I like this job? Because I feel like it gives me an opportunity to help people. That's definitely the main one. For me, it's a happy feel for the most time. I mean, there's sad things that happen, but for me, I actually went into what's considered family practice after babies, because it allows me to get to see you when you're your age, and it gets to see me when when people are a little bit older. So it makes me feel like I'm a part of people's family, and I'm helping the whole family. So that's why. Well, thank you guys. Remember, knowledge is power.
Thank you. We have 3 more presenters, so let me get your real quick. Let's see y'all got now. Yeah! Please and thank you. I know that woke you up.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherman Pierre. I'm a Haitian male. I am a registered nurse, and I am also a certified nurse practitioner. And for my nursing, I did have to go to college to get a bachelor's degree. And in working as a nurse, you can work in any specialty. For me, I chose psychiatry, but if you wanted to work with children, you can. If you wanted to work with older people, elder people, in medical terminology, we call it geriatrics. You can, if you wanted to work in surgery, you can. And there are so many settings that you can work in as a nurse. For instance, this school. I'm sure you guys have a school nurse, right? And you can work in the hospital, as I shared, and you can also work in community clinics. And believe it or not, you can also work in people's homes. Yeah, it's very flexible, where you operate on your own time, a time that works for you and the person, and then you visit their home to provide care. And some of the things that you do is checking their blood pressure, or maybe checking how much sugar is in their blood. We call that glucose, and that's if individuals might have a disease called diabetes, or they could be pre-diabetic. But those are some of the things that nurses do, and some of the settings that nurses can work in. And as I shared, I chose psychiatry. And I also chose to go back to school for 2 more years to get my master's to be a nurse practitioner. And I'm certified in psychiatry. Anyone want to take a guess what psychiatry does? Yes, psychiatry does help you get better. It can help you get better in school. Yes, that is correct. And I will stay on that example. For me, as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, when I do work with young children that might have some difficulties at school, maybe difficulties being able to focus while the teacher's talking, or some challenges being able to sit still in their seat while the class is going on, I am able to help them to do better in school. So yes, and there are many tools at my disposal, but like the stethoscope, this machine, but I primarily just speak with people to understand what's going on, what they've been thinking about. I do my best to make them feel comfortable and being able to share their challenges. And if medication is needed, I can prescribe medication to help them. And for me, as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I've worked in the hospitals. I've worked in the emergency department, where it can be very hectic and very busy. I've worked on the inpatient unit, where sometimes people are struggling and they're not 100% well to go back home, and they need to sleep and stay at the hospital for a few days just so that they can get better before they go back home. And I currently work in an outpatient clinic now, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with outpatient clinics. You sleep at home, but you just come for your appointment and you talk with the provider, which is me, and we make sure that everything is still going well in your life. That's what I do, and I want to open it up for questions if anyone has it. But before I do, each and every one of you has a piece of paper. On that piece of paper, it tells you all of the different nurses. Now, I shared myself. I'm a registered nurse and a nurse practitioner. At the top of your sheet, it may say a certified nursing assistant, and I'd like you to know that is the entry level in nursing. And on the column next to it, it will detail what education level you need, whether it's a high school diploma or you have to go to college. And the other column will tell you an expected salary range for anyone who has questions about how much the pay is. But I'll open it up to questions now. The one in the far back next to the teacher. I saw his hand first. Yes. The question was, do I always help people survive in the hospital? So while I do have my advanced life support certification, in situations in which there is an emergency, where someone does need emergency life-saving care, yes, I can be a part of the team that helps to save that person. But my role in psychiatry, I mainly deal with what's going on in here, in the mind, and also what you feel in your heart, but not in a physical way, more like emotion. That's what I help with. Next question? Yes. The question was, what inspired me to do what I do? Well, I always liked helping people, and my mom was a certified nursing assistant, and growing up, she would always take me to certain events, like for instance, she would bring me to the homeless shelter and we would help to give out food to people. So my mom raised me with a helping heart, and it's something that always stuck with me, and that's why I do what I do now, to help people. One more question?
All right, to give him a round of applause.
All right. Good morning, everyone. No, I heard you guys do a lot of before. Good morning, everyone. Much better, much better. My name is Paris Sterling, and I am a New York City paramedic. I work over at Jamaica Hospital, and I'm here to tell you pretty much about what I do, and maybe you guys might think about doing it in the future as well. So, anyone can tell me, what is a paramedic? Does anyone know? So your hand. Pretty much, yeah. He said it's a response team, and when you call 911, they are quick to get there. So we specialize in medical emergencies, right? So someone who's not feeling well, someone who hurt themselves, maybe they fell, maybe they got hit by a car, you know, anything like that. We're pretty much the hospital on wheels. So we're able to get there, we're able to stabilize the patient, and we're able to make sure that they get to the hospital and get the treatment that they need. So pretty much in a typical day as a paramedic, the first thing we do when we get there, we have an ambulance, which you can see, this is actually my ambulance right here. I work with Jamaica Hospital. We want to check out the ambulance, make sure that we have all of the equipment that we need. We have hundreds of different types of equipment on the ambulance, and we need to make sure that they're all there. You never know what you're going to need and for what situation. After that, we just wait. We're waiting for someone to need our help. Once we get a call, we'll get it from the dispatchers. The dispatchers will tell us what's going on. They might say, you know, someone got hit by a car on this street corner, and then we'll have to go there with the lights and the sirens. I know you guys all have seen them before. We'll go there with the lights and the sirens, and we'll go to try to help them. After that, we're able to do many type of treatments to make them feel better, things that they would usually do in the hospital. We can do it in the ambulance. We can start IVs, we can give them medications. I'm gonna take questions after. We can give them medications, we can stop any bleeding that's going on, we can put on splints, like anything, almost anything that they can do in the hospital in an emergency setting, we can do in the back of the ambulance. So from there, once we get them stabilized, we take them to the hospital, and at the hospital, they take over from there, and they ensure that they're able to heal, get better, and then hopefully get discharged to go back home. So I want to tell you guys about how I became a paramedic. So when I graduated high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And that's okay not to be sure what you want to do. My uncle, he's been a paramedic for almost 30 years at this point, and one day in conversation, he mentioned, why not try it? So he told me about the job, and I said, okay, I'll give it a try. First, you have to start off by going to EMT school. That's about a 6-month course. Once you finish EMT school, then you start working as an EMT. An EMT is like a paramedic, but they can't do a lot of the advanced things that the paramedics can do. They're more so for like bandaging wounds, you know, stopping bleeding, things like that. So after I became an EMT, I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to go to the next step, which is becoming a paramedic. So typically you need to work as an EMT for a year. After a year, then you can go to paramedic school, which then takes another year to finish paramedic school. That's when you learn a lot more about cardiology, about how the brain works, how the heart works, how the lung works, how the blood flows through the whole body. And with this information, you're able to do a lot more things and give a lot more medication to patients when you get there. Pretty much my favorite part of this job is obviously I get to help people, but I do like working in high stress, exciting environments, and that's what you get when you're being a paramedic. You're not ever sure what you're gonna get into. You start off the day just thinking it's gonna be normal, and somebody's worst emergency, you're gonna get called there and you have to help them. So I like the idea of knowing that whatever I'm gonna get into is gonna be different from yesterday. Right? I don't wanna come to work and do the same thing every day. So that's the main reason why I like doing this. And then also, I like seeing the smiles on the faces once we're able to help someone and make them feel much better than they were when we first got there. On the screen, if you guys look over, I just have a few pieces of equipment that I typically carry. Does anyone know what this is? Oh, doctor? The stretcher, do you know what it's used for? What? Perfect, yeah, so if someone's not able to walk, we carry a stretcher in the back of the ambulance. It has wheels on it. It's like a bed on wheels. They're able to lay down on the bed, and we can carry them from one place to another place, into the hospital, into the ambulance. This next one is a stair chair. I'll show your hand first. Got it. So that's right. When someone's not able to walk and we need to go downstairs, we put them in a stair chair and we carry them down. This one's a stethoscope. I know you guys saw this one earlier. It helps us listen to the lungs, the heart, and things like that. Blood pressure cuff, same thing as this machine. This one we just take it manually. This is my cardiac monitor. This is what allows me to see the heart, see what's going on in there, see if someone's having a heart attack. It does a lot of things. It shocks people, you know, it does a little bit of everything. And then these are just the different ways that we can give oxygen in case somebody's having trouble breathing. And these are the ways that we communicate with our dispatcher or, you know, to find out where the call is going to be. It'll come over on that computer right there and we can see the address and what's going on so we know where we're going. All right, does anyone have any questions? 2 questions. That's a great question. I've been a paramedic for 11 years, and I was an EMT before that for 2 years. So 13 years altogether. All right, next question. You in the back. Yeah. What is that?
In the 1990s, in a hospital, do you always watch people if they're safe and
You said in the hospital, do we watch them and make sure they're safe and fix their hearts?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. That's a big part of what we do. We want to make sure that everybody is feeling much better, whether we have to give them medication or just take them to the hospital so the doctors can take over from there. All right, guys, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so I know we have questions. I know. If you give it to your teachers, I'll make sure I send it out. Then we get our presenters just seeking them back the answers. We have our last presenters, but not our least. We have our gentleman from the FDNY to come up to present to you. Give him a round of applause. Let's go.
Good morning. Good morning. We're definitely probably the least. It's okay. You guys are some very important people up here. And so are you. So, my name is Firefighter Mike. I have firefighter Jordan over there. He's getting dressed. I'm gonna show you some of our equipment. Got a couple questions. Do you guys know anything that a firefighter does besides fight fires? Red shirt in the back.
It's just like a burning fire. A firefighter uses the fire to extinguish the fire or like
All right, great. Great, that is what we do, but besides the fire, he's good, he's right. Fire, we can cover that. Something else, yeah.
People out the house when there's a fire.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys because that was two. One more.
To help get animals out of the tree.
That's funny and very true. If you have a, please don't call us, but if you do call us and you have a cat in the tree, we will try to get it out for you, right? So that's one thing about us. We really respond to everything. You got any kind of problem, we come and we try to help if we can. So we do medical emergencies, which is not as good as this gentleman or this lady. We respond to if we were stuck in an elevator, gas emergencies, that just smell something, anything. When things are going bad, we typically come, okay? So let me talk to you about some little fire safety things real quick. If there's a fire in your house, since I kept talking about fires, can somebody tell me the first thing you should do if there's a fire in your house? Just because you're close.
Evacuate.
Very good. That's actually, it's kind of like a 1A. You're gonna do that, but you're gonna do something before that. Evacuate, you definitely wanna get out.
Drop down on the floor.
You do not wanna do that if you can get out. So you wanna drop if you can't go nowhere, if you're stuck, trapped. You wanna get low because smoke and everything rises, so the lower you get, the better off you are, the more oxygen is down here, okay? But, so you wanna evacuate, but the first thing you wanna do is yell out, fire, fire, fire. Let the people know where you are to get out. Don't leave your brothers and sisters or your loved ones in the house. Yell, tell them, fire, fire, fire. Now, if they don't follow you out, then, all right, it might end up with the doctor. So you want to yell out, fire, 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 and leave. And then what do you do after that? Everybody knows this. Everybody tell you to do this when it's an emergency.
Basically go outside and go to like a tree or like some place that you are safe.
That's good. But call 911. I know you're somebody who was thinking about it, right? So you want to yell out fire, fire, evacuate, and call 911. So I'm going to show you my better part here, my brother. He's excellent. I would tell you some stories, but these presenters took away too much time, so we don't have much time. So this is only two things that really separate you and us in a fire. I used to say one, but it's not true. So one thing is our mind, our training, right? And the second thing is just this gear. Without this gear, even with our mind and training, we're still in trouble in a fire, all right? So Jordan's gonna show you the mask and how it looks like, and you can ask some questions later if you want. So if you see somebody like this, you are not that real little, but don't be afraid, right? So we're not afraid of this guy. When you see this guy, you want to say, here, over here, help me. He will help you. As he's getting dressed, I'll tell you, we came out, we was in the same probie school, that's the training we did together, and one of his first fires he went to, he saved a baby. He got one of the top medals in the fire department. So this is a real hero right here. So this is just what helps us breathe. It's called the SCBA, fancy name, self-contained breathing apparatus. All it means is that he's able to breathe with it on and smoke. So if we had smoke in here, he'll be able to breathe, all right? And he would not do this. Even though he's standing up nice and tall, he would be low, crawling. Be always low, crawling, right? So if it's hot, smoky, you want to get as low as you can. We'll stop there, and if anybody got any questions. you go. Blue shirt. Yeah, you.
How much do you get paid every year?
I want no money. We don't get $1 million like my brother did. Go finance. So salary probably about 100,000, right? A little over 100,000. 120, and you go up the ranks, lieutenant. Good. 5-year service, 120. Oh yeah, a lot more with overtime. These guys, no one makes that. We always make above what our salary says, right? So lieutenants is about 130 or something, captains 140, chief is probably like 200 or something. I'm still a firefighter. Okay.
Y'all wear heavy gear.
You do, and so that's one of the things about our job. Like, so what I'd say if you wanted to be a firefighter, something to consider is if you like helping people. If you don't like helping people, you don't want to do this job because that's what we do. We go out, we help people. People in bad situations, we come, we help. Right? Another thing, you need to be a team player. You got to be able to work well with teams. We rely on each other so much. So you got to be able to work well with others. And the last thing I would say, you got to have some type of physical fitness. Not as much as this guy. He's legit, but just some, you know, a little scrawny, a little bit.
What did you major in college?
Wow, so you don't have to go to college to do my job. But I actually did go to college. I used to be a teacher. And I respect these teachers. It's a noble profession. Make sure you listen to them teachers. I'm a teacher at heart. So I was a teacher. I was going to be a principal. And then someone that was a lieutenant on the job told me about this job. That it was better, but nothing's better than helping you kids. But, you know, it was good. It gave me a little more time, more flexibility. So you don't need college, basically. Thanks for the question. I have college, but that's because I didn't always want to be a firefighter. Yes, we do. Like I said, not as much as that guy and this lady over here. They're way above. Yeah, basics. We do basic things. We come and just to try to keep you stable until they come and take over.
What inspired you to do your job?
You look like you want to ask that question. Who told you to ask that question? You want to ask that? That was on the sheet. That was on the sheet, or did you really want to ask that question? You did? Okay, good. Yes. So what inspired you to do your job? Kind of told you about it. Someone that I know that was on the job told me. It's a really great so rewarding, big little money, teachers money. Flexibility, you can be off a lot, like we work 24-hour shifts, we work some days, so you have a lot of time for a lot of flexibility. And one of the biggest things, the same reason why I was a teacher, is to help people. I just like helping people. Right? That's like calling them. One more question. I normally don't respond to hands that's not quiet, but she drew me in.
Have you ever seen a fire on
duty? Okay, he has. Let's talk about it. I might come in, I used to say, I'm more rude, I might not run in there, because I'm like this, I'm in trouble. But I still will. Go ahead.
It's a fire in the house. The first fire was it? There you go.
Short and sweet. This guy. Actually, should have been passing you guys out some stuff. I don't have for everybody. I wanted to give it to the people that was actually answering questions. But actually, oh, here we go. Can somebody tell me the 3 things I said you do when there is a fire?
Get low.
All right, I'm going to give you something for that, but it wasn't get low, right? The only time we get low is if we can't get out. If you can't get out, then you want to get low. Let me go back in.
If there's like a fire, you need a yellow fire so like everyone can put fire.
Good, that's 1 point. Give it to him. Somebody give us something. Level 3? You know level 3? Got something for you if you know level 3.
And then like going back when you go in.
Good. Nice, he got it. Here you go. I don't got the finances of this guy. But yeah, I don't know. Good job, he was listening. Alright, so we'll try to pass out some of these to you guys. What was your name? What's your name, buddy? What's your name? What? Anton. Good job, Anton. You was listening. And that's very good to listen at the very end after everybody went. Good job.
All right, real quick. I know y'all excited right now, but we are out of time. We do want to make sure that we give one last round of applause and appreciation to everybody up here that took out the time of the day to speak to you. Do understand that, especially my fifth graders, you are going to middle school next year. 3 years go by as quick. You have high school. That is one of the major times where you start preparing and looking at what you want to do in the future. So please remember what each individual up here does. Do not limit yourself.